Welcome to Tea with a Teacher, a podcast by Edjobster. I'm your host, Syed Hamid Hasan, here with you with a talk with inspiring teachers over a cup of tea. Let's listen to their stories about the work they have done to bring about a change in the society and especially in the life of children. Sometimes, even when you do not know the direction of your passion, God brings before you opportunities to explore your inner self and chart your life course. Today, we have with us someone who is an exceptional teacher trainer as well as mindfulness coach who started her career with teaching students and is now teaching teachers. Let's welcome our esteemed guest, Mrs. Sudha Mahajan.
Thank you, Syed.
Welcome to the show, ma'am. Well, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic and I'm excited about this podcast. So feeling really good.
Me too, and all the listeners of our podcast are also waiting for this show to go live. And I was going through your recent activities on LinkedIn, and I learned that you are giving offline trainings have started. How was your experience interacting with teachers, with the trainees in person? What was their response and experience?
Actually, it was amazing. And I think it was more exciting than I expected it to be. Because the school was already in a working mode, they were taking out time after taking classes. So I was expecting already an exhausted set of teachers coming to me. When I made them, go back into their childhood and actually think that they are in the classroom, and we did a lot of activities together while it was, of course, learning. And each activity culminated into a writing activity. So they were very, very happy, and they gave some fantastic feedback and said that they never realized that they took training for 3 days and now they will make sure they implement it. So it was quite a exhilarating experience, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that it must be your training session, an offline training session after the pandemic, after almost 2 years, we can say. Right.
Yes.
And everybody, even I would say, well, I'm doing the podcast online, but I also want to host every guest in a physical studio to record this podcast. And we will be doing it soon. But, it's better that we socialize physically. So it's amazing. We really miss it, actually.
Yes, we all do. Absolutely. Basically, we are all social beings. And therefore, if you don't socialize, I mean, that's where the mental health gets disturbed. So it's very, very important. Yeah.
Well, our listeners would love to know your story, like to start by knowing how did you start teaching? What was your motivation? And how did you realize that this is your passion and you want to make a career in it?
An interesting question. So actually, I wasn't out to be a teacher. I did my MBA and was looking for a job in a corporate. But I got married and I went to Kullu. And when my children went to school, that is the time that the school offered me a teaching position. And the very first class that I took of economics, I realized that how much fun it was to be with children and how much they respected you if you could respect them. And I think from day one, I realized that this is what I really wanted to do. And then, of course, I continued teaching and much later went into doing a B.Ed, and getting myself the actual qualification required to be a teacher. But before that, I had already been teaching for 10 years. So that's how I just went into being a teacher. Yeah.
Well, I would say that's how life works. Whatever opportunities comes your way, you just grab them, and then you find out a way to make your career, how to look at the path ahead in life. And that's how I think your journey also started. Like you got an opportunity, you get into it, you love that job, and then you decided that I want to make a career in it. And how did you end up being a trainer? Means, what was your journey from a teacher to a trainer right now?
So I was actually into teaching for almost about 15 years, I think. And when the CC system was introduced in India, and that was a time that I was approached by a parent who said that his company was applying to become master trainers for the CCE project. And he required some good educationists. And because he held me in high esteem, he wanted me to be one of them. So I gave in my name without actually realizing what was going to happen and what was in store for me. And then he comes to me one day and says, "Congratulations, ma'am, we have got the project and you're going to do our first training." And it was somewhere in the interior of Punjab. And at that time I was in Delhi. So I told him, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to travel to that interior. And from Delhi, it's too far." So he said that, "Look, ma'am, I know that I want you and there is no other way. You will have to go." And then I just thought that, okay, maybe if he's looking up to me so much, I must be having something in me. So let me go and do this training. So it was very interesting, Syed, that when I reached that place, and I, of course, very nicely, the school had sent somebody to receive me and I was put up at a hotel. But in the morning when I went to the school, the training was supposed to start at 10 o'clock. And I reached the school at 9:30. There was not a soul there. There was just nobody there. And I was very surprised. And of course, when they saw me there, they ran helter-skelter. And I told them that, "Where am I supposed to train? And, can you tell me the area, etc. and all." So I set up and then the principal came and she told me that, "Sudha, we did not expect this, because till now, whatever kind of trainers we got, they would just come, in fact, much later than the time, and they would just play a PPT. And here you are not just showing us a PPT, but you've made us do so much that now I am repenting that why did I not call my physical education teachers also for this workshop?" Because it was a workshop on teaching values to children. So that was it. And the response I got there, I realized that there was so much to be done in education. There was so much required. And then there was no looking back. After that, then I joined a few companies also, which were totally into teacher training. So that's how then I started training teachers. Yeah.
Well, I think that your friend saw something in you, and that's why he asked you to do so. And that opportunity also opened another door for you of
Yes.
the trainer.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. It was. And I was surprised because he happened to be a parent. Like, it was a great compliment for me. Yeah.
Well, that's what we expect from parents. Well, let's move ahead. Well, we know that all children are special. Every child is special. We have observed
Right.
some students do not perform good in class. How can a teacher figure out the problem with the child, and how can a teacher help those children perform better?
The first thing that I always went by was that when I entered into a classroom, I would just give a glance to the students. And if any child was not smiling or not looking happy, I would definitely walk up to that child and ask the child that, "Are you okay? And is everything fine?" Because there is so much happening in the life of a child, and especially today when both the parents are also working, that sometimes we do not realize what is going with the child. So if you can make that connect with the child, where the child feels comfortable in your presence, there is no way that the child will not perform well. And also, if the learning gap is too wide, so say like, I'll give you an example of where I had a student in class 6. And when we actually assessed her, we found that her learning was only to the level of class 3. So what we started doing was that we started giving her assessments at the level of class 3. And when she started performing in those assessments, it was differentiated assessment. She was extremely, extremely happy because she started doing well. And then slowly we started raising the level of difficulty. And finally, by the end of class 6, she was at the level of the students. Now, every child is not going to score 80 or 90%, but we have to ensure that every child scores to the best of their abilities. So they need to, I think we don't need to work for perfection, but we need to work for excellence. That we should be, each one of us should be achieve our excellence levels. That is important, and a teacher can definitely aid a lot in that. So compassionate and empathy are two very, very important qualities that a teacher needs to possess.
That's true. Well, in that case, I would say we don't have to make a competition in the classroom amongst the children, but we have to make a competition with the children, with the child itself. They have to compete their own skills, their own performance.
Yes.
And if they are able to track it, do better performance in the next exam, and if the teacher is assessing in the right way, like you did, you gave a sixth grade child a lower grade assessment and started preparing them for the upper grades. So you actually figured out what is the level of, what is the caliber and the capabilities of child at that stage. So that you were able to bring them up at the right time. Otherwise, but I would say with my experience, I have also seen people, even in 12th grade, they were not able to write correctly. They were not able to understand correctly. So the problem is that you stated that you figured it out in 6th grade. So if you figured that those problems of those weak students at an early stage, the problem, I would say that it's illiteracy. Even if they are not able to read and write in the 12th grade, that's illiteracy. We are just passing students, promoting students in every grade until 10th, but they are not learning because we are not looking back, that they are not actually improving themselves. So that's the right approach that every teacher should take, and the school should also, use programs to make this happen. So we build a quality workforce and quality people in future.
Right. And that's what the new education policy is also talking about, building skills. So what happens is that at times we get too busy in finishing a syllabus, and not, so we are too involved in doing the syllabus. So if you give the children the skills of literacy and numeracy, automatically the syllabus will be done. So don't worry about the syllabus. That will happen. But let's see that do they have the basic skills, because only then knowledge is available at a click of a button today, So it is learning to learn that is important. That's what the children have to be taught. And for that, we need to create interest in learning also. So they should be interested to learn. If I'm not interested to learn, you can do anything. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
I think since
so that's what
a decade or more than that, like trainers like you, a lot of trainers have come who are bringing this change, and we have been seeing the change in real in the schools, and things are changing very, very much, I would say. Yeah. Well, as a trainer, you must know what skills or attitude is lacking in a teacher, which affects the learning of the students as well. As a trainer, you must know about it. What are those skills or personality traits a teacher should improve to create more interactive classroom sessions?
So one of the most important things is attitude. I need to understand, like even for myself, I learn from so many people every day. I look up podcasts, I read, I go through various educators, what they are talking about, because if I start feeling that I have reached the level of excellence, then I'm never going to grow. So one of the most important things is attitude, and to have compassion. That is a very, very important skill that you need to develop in yourselves. You need to have compassion, and we need to see that, look, what worked in my era. Often we all talk and we say to each other, यार मैंने तो सब कुछ ठीक किया था, मैं भी तो अच्छी हूँ, मुझ में क्या खराबी है, मुझ में भी तो सब कुछ ठीक है. But my environment was different. I did not have internet 24/7. Today, a child has internet 24/7. True. So we are looking at a different set of children. We are looking at a world which is totally uncertain. None of us thought COVID is going to come. None of us were prepared for it, right? And we were all caught unawares. So we need to prepare our children for that a world that we do not know what it's going to be, for that unknown world. So for that, the teacher has to have the skills to help the child develop the skills. And the most important thing is attitude and being interested to learn yourself. You need to learn new ways. I cannot say I will operate without technology. I cannot operate without technology. My child is using technology every second, every minute. How can I tell him, no, you don't need to use technology? We cannot tell the children that. So we have to tell them wiser ways of using technology. So that is, you need to have the right attitude and you need to have compassion. If you have these two things, everything else will fall in.
Attitude is very important everywhere in any profession.
Yes.
That's definitely true, right? And to make an interactive classroom, what I understood from you is that, yeah, definitely in COVID, we have learned that teaching when offline office classes are going on, online classes are going on, uh, it's not just an 8-hour job or a 10-hour job, but more than that. And for a teacher, it is, because my mother is also a teacher, so I have seen her working, and there are training sessions going on by CBSE and all. And she is an English teacher, so she also has a habit of reading novels. And acquiring knowledge, you have to be updated with the technology, with the new trends, with the new industries coming up, because you will have to prepare the students according to that. What is the new need in the market? What is happening in the world? Accordingly, the teacher needs to be updated with everything around, and that she has to, or he has to transfer to the students that they are teaching.
Yeah, and also, like, we don't have to give them knowledge. Let them discover it. We need to scaffold. We need to be educators. We don't need to just be teaching everything to them, So I always tell the teachers that when the child asks you a question, don't give an answer, ask a counter question. Let them reach the answer. Let them, and that's what makes it all very interesting. If they are going to discover things for themselves, that is what is very, very interesting. So a very, interesting question, which I often ask the teachers in a training is that, okay, you have to teach revolution and rotation to your children. All right. Now you ask the children that there is a fan, and on the fan, on one of the wings, a fly is sitting, right? And the fan is moving. Is the fly rotating or is it revolving? Now, I don't know the right answer, right?
Yeah, I don't.
But what is going to happen? You are going to give this question and the children are going to search everything about rotation and revolution. So without you having to do anything, your children will be perfect at rotation and revolution, and then they will give you the answer with reasoning. So you haven't taught them anything. They have learned everything with just a single question.
Right.
Right. So that's how we need to get interactive in the class.
It even applies in the real life as well, because even when I am looking for an answer, yes, there is a problem and I'm looking for a solution for it, I'm looking for an answer. Anybody, we keep on exploring the internet and new pages turn up. We learn so much. Yeah, we get the answer, but we learn a lot of things around that answer, around that solution. We learn more about those problems, what is actually what people think about it. And we learn a lot. That is a process, and it is very helpful, because we are not going to just know the right answer to write in the examination in the classroom also, if we are asked to search for an answer. And that's the right approach, I think, for an interactive classroom.
Right. And so as you just said that process. So we teach the children to value the process so that they develop a growth mindset, and they don't just develop a mindset where they think that they need to come first in the class. Coming first is not important. It's the growth mindset that is important. That, if you see children who, top classes, you ask them to do something which is unfamiliar, they would not want to do it because they have the fear of failure. While you ask a child who is a mediocre child, otherwise where the scores may be concerned, but you ask them to try something unfamiliar, they say, okay, we'll go ahead and try it, because they're not worried ki nahi hoga to koi baat nahi, nahi hoga, that's okay. But when we are talking about children who are just, we are telling them, you are the best, you are excellent, you are super. So they start thinking, I am good. They don't start thinking it's the process that makes all the difference. How do I think? That is what makes the difference.
I can feel what you are saying, because in my school days, I have, I've been in a situation like this, and teachers have motivated me saying the same thing. And I have worked, it really worked out for me to perform better for myself. And even it got
Right.
good results as well. So I think it definitely works.
It definitely
Yeah.
does. Yes. Right.
Well, moving ahead, the next question is related to managing parents, and it's a difficult task to manage parents, especially parents of those students who do not perform well in the class. They think that teacher is wholly responsible for the bad progress of their child. The question is, how can teachers manage those parents? What should be the approach for that?
So, when a parent comes to me, and if I straight away tell the parent that your child is not performing well, now that is going to upset a parent, right? Because I pride in my child. So what I have to say is that I start off by saying that yes, your child is doing well, or is well behaved, or some good quality about the child. And then I say that, you know what, but there is a problem in this particular area, and the way that I will be doing everything possible in the classroom, but as a parent, I need your help. And this is the way you can help your child. So, for example, let us say that the child is not good at reading, and therefore is not able to do whatever work you are asking the child to do, because the child cannot read so much. So then you just tell the parent that, look, he has difficulty in reading, or she has difficulty in reading. If you could help me by just making the child sit for 30 minutes and read aloud, and you just be around the child and listen to the child. That is all. And I assure you, the child will do well. They support you. There is no way that they won't support you. They will support you. So whenever you show them a problem of the child, their child, give them a solution for it also. And they are there to support you there. And whatever you say or do it with confidence and compassion, both things together.
Well, I would say that this process is a two-way process. While managing parents, that you have to deal with them, you have to tell them like it is not just the teacher's responsibility. You have to tell them like the parent is also responsible, and they have to take equal part in it. Well, moving ahead, nowadays it's my personal opinion that I'm putting up, and I would like to discuss this with you as well. Nowadays, students after their 12th do not have the clarity of what they have to do in life. They do not get a proper guidance. I feel if there is a program in a school that every child will do an internship with a professional, for example, teacher, CA, lawyer, entrepreneur, doctor, or any other professional, then it will be easier for children at an early stage of life to analyze and take decision in which profession they want to make a career. Do you think this approach will help students, and how can this be implemented in our education system, especially the national education policy?
This approach would definitely help, but yes, there are a lot of precautions, lot of lacunas maybe that we'll have to plug in. And it could happen in class 9 and class 11, when you don't have the pressure of whatever the board exams, so to say. And how it could be done is that the school would build a pool of such professionals, and they could be from the parent body, because there are n number of parents also who are, well qualified, or are into all the professions. So it could be the pool of parents, and then the other people that whose backgrounds, who that they are excellent at their fields. And then the children could go and do an internship with permission from them, and we could ask and permission letters from the parents. I mean, all those kind of legal documents would have to be completed, and then it could be done, and it would be a very, very interesting thing to do, because that is, sometimes I say I want to be a doctor, But I do not realize that even if I want to be, let us say, a dentist, then what is it that the dentist needs to go through? How is the day of a dentist? And am I going to really going to like that kind of a day? And if I want to be a cardiologist, so I am 24/7 on a call. Uh, am I okay with that? Am I ready for that? As a doctor, I have to keep improving my learning. I have to keep studying. I'm a student throughout life. Am I ready for that? So once they go and actually see it all firsthand, learning would be better, and their choices for their careers would be better, or at least it would set a perspective for them that what kind of profession that they would like to go for. It's an excellent idea, I think.
It's an excellent idea, and well, as a trainer, you can put it in the training. If such an integrated program can be built and even implemented on a prototype, you can say, like a pilot project can be implemented at the school level itself for the 9th or 10th grade students, or even 11th grade students. So because there is a lot of confusion at this stage, like they don't know what to do. Even they do a graduation, then they realize like we want to do such thing, right? Because they don't know, they haven't experienced anything, and when they get into a job, they realize, no, this is not my thing. I have to do something different. And it takes means where they actually had to start by the age of 18 or 19. So the goal that they have now, after when they are in college, that should have been set early, in an early stage, so their success is at early stage, right?
Yes.
Their goal
Yeah.
that they are actually achieving at 30, 35, they can achieve it by 25, 27 if they have the clarity in their higher secondary school, that what they want to do in life, how they want to prepare themselves. So if
Right.
an integrated program is created by trainers like you, then it will be possible that the students get a clarity for their future and what they have to opt for.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It can be done. Yeah. I
But
do make a suggestion of it a number of times at schools. But yes, it's still a process.
That's good. Well, in your 25 years of career, you must have taught thousands of students. Has it ever happened with you that a student inspired you?
Yes, a number of times. Just now, one of my students whom I taught at school, she is a psychologist, and she's running her own company by the name of Psychopedia. And she's doing a lot of counseling for children, and she is, bringing up, working for the mental health of children. So which is very, very inspiring for me to see that a young child of 25, 28 years old is actually going ahead and looking for the well-being of the public at large. And also there was another student who is now just in college, and when I talked to her once, she had some problem, and I talked to her and I told her that, okay, if you can't talk to me, you can probably write it down. So when she wrote down her problem, I just looked at it and I read it, and I told her that, you have the abilities to become a good author. So someday try writing whatever you feel, and maybe you will be an author. And we had the pandemic, and there was a closure of the schools. And voila, after 2 months, she tells me, ma'am, I've written a book, and her book was published. And she wrote a book on the partition, and how her great grandfather came, how the partition happened, and what all they went through, and etc. And it's a great book. I mean, and she had it published, and within 2 months she had another book come, which she wrote on her mother, Matitra. And so it was absolutely great. I mean, I think they're so inspiring. I've been thinking of writing a book, haven't got down to it till now. So that's really great, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, I have a question for you here. Just define in one sentence the feeling when a student of yours is successful and calls you back after a few years, telling them how you made a difference in their life. Just in one sentence.
So humbled, I think. and happy. Yes, it it's an ecstatic feeling that one has. I always tell teachers that all over the world, I think most places in the world, teachers are probably paid the lowest, but their success and their happiness is their students. And n number of them, when they come back to you and say, what I am is because of you. And here I remember an incident when I had the student who had passed out about 10 years ago, and he gives me a call and says, are you in Chandigarh? I said, yes. He said, can I visit you? I said, sure. Right now? I said, okay. So he came home and he said, I'm coming directly from the airport. You know what? I want to tell you something I'm very excited about. I said, okay, what? So he said, I was reading something in the plane. What do you think I was reading? So I was like, how do I know what you were reading? So he says, think, you think. So, I just said, the India's economic policy. So he said, yes, he said, because all throughout school, class 12, you kept telling us, read the policy, see how it works, what happens. And today when I was reading it, I said, I have got to go back to ma'am and tell her that, look, I am finally reading the economic policy. He was a banker by then. So he was reading the policy. And I think that was like, wow, child remembers you after 10 years.
That's actually an appreciation for a teacher when a child remembers you.
Yes, the biggest reward.
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the final stage of our today's show. And well, as you are a mindfulness coach, and I feel that a teacher as well as student should be mindful in the classroom. How can mindfulness coaching help in effective learning in classroom?
So, if you do very simple mindfulness activities in the class, like even just simple observing your breath and taking a few deep breaths, you even start with that. Children start becoming very, very mindful, so to say, or in simple terminology, very conscious of every act that they do. And obviously, when they will become conscious of every act that they will do, they will be conscious of the main act that they do in a classroom of learning. So learning definitely improves with mindfulness. I have experienced it. I have practiced it in the classroom. I have asked my teachers to practice it, and it improves learning, and it improves behavioral classroom management, so to say. It improves classroom management. Children calm down, and they like simple things we used to tell them that, okay, if you are angry, first of all, recognizing your emotions. And then after that, if you are like, say, if you're angry or whatever, you want to bash up somebody. So before you do that, just count down 10 to yourself. And if you still want to do it, then tell us. But finally, children absolutely stop doing it, And even children as small as class 3 and class 2, it worked a lot. And so with the seniors, it definitely works. It is something which should be an integral part of the curriculum.
Yeah. Do you think that currently in every classroom, means in every school, mindfulness coaching is given in the classroom, or there is mindfulness in the classroom at the moment?
No, there isn't. And with the 2 years of pandemic, I've written a lot of posts all the time and I have been telling teachers, if whenever I train them, that now that your children will come back to an offline class, don't be in a hurry to finish the syllabus. Don't be in a hurry. Just let them talk. Children have gone through so much. There have been losses. There have been they haven't socialized, and n number of other problems which we can't even imagine may have happened. So let them talk, let them discuss, listen to them, get them to normalize before you actually want to teach them the subject, so to say. There's a lot of teaching that can happen without actually going straight to your book. So move out from the two covers of the book and the four walls of the classroom. It's very, very important. But mindfulness is not being practiced as yet. As yet, it hasn't, though we've been talking about the happiness curriculum and, in schools and all that. And even the CBSE brought out during the pandemic a happy classroom. They brought out a curriculum, but it isn't being practiced to that great extent.
Yes. I think it should be implemented. It should be part of the curriculum altogether, and there should
Yes,
be, continuous training sessions on it by the board itself. So it will
yes.
be very much effective and useful
You
for.
know what happens? Sorry, I'm interrupting, but what happens is like we brought in the value education, है ना?
Yes,
So we treat them as silos. You cannot treat them as silos. They have to be integrated into the whole curriculum. I cannot teach physics and not teach a value. I feel physics to bhai science hai. I need to teach science. I don't need to teach the value. But the scientific concepts teach you a value.
right.
So bring out that value to the child. So that is what is important. For example, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So if you are going to waste your time on the social media, then the reaction is going to be of you not excelling in what you want to excel.
True.
So bringing those little concepts for just 2 minutes as an introduction or as a wind up in the classroom session that you are taking will bring in value. Similarly, what is happiness? Happiness is just a sense of satisfaction, a sense of enjoyment, right? So if you do make the children do the activity, or they do it, they discover the concept, that is happiness, right? So, but what we are doing is we are having a happiness session. We are having a value session. We can't do that. We need to integrate it. And as I always say, that values cannot be taught, they have to be lived.
True.
So if I, as a teacher, am going to live the value, my child is going to pick it up.
Definitely.
But if I'm going to tell them ki wrappers, you must pick up wrappers. Look, wrappers are being thrown around the school. But when I see a wrapper, I just walk past it. The child is observing me. So I have to be sure that I pick up the wrapper too. And similarly for the parents. So like they say, the whole village it takes to bring up a child. So similarly in the school also, we need to build everything into the curriculum and not have them as silos. That is important.
We have to bring everything in the classroom, values, even textbooks are there for reference, but it's the teacher who teaches. Like technology is a resource, textbook is a resource.
Absolutely.
And teachers are the resource person who are actually going to bring an impact in the life of child.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Well, it was such an honor to have you on this podcast. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sudha, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much. I'm absolutely humbled.
Yeah. A lot of teachers are going to sign up for your mindfulness course. So you must be ready for the landing page now.
Right.
Subscribe to our channel because we will be coming with another episode of Tea with a Teacher and listen to stories of inspiring teachers.